Shout out to Heaven Henriquez, watching from Jamaica. Thank you. Now let the story begin. They called her Ifeoma the Forgotten, not because she lacked beauty, but because her father, Chief Okonkwo, had eyes only for her sister Adana, whose face men said could stop the river from flowing. On the day Ifeoma's life changed forever, she stood in the village square watching her father auction their family's dignity to the highest bidder. 50 bags of cowries for my daughter's hand, her father shouted, sweat dripping down his weathered face. Any man wealthy enough to clear my debts can have her. But he wasn't offering Adana. He was offering Ifeoma. Chief Chike stepped forward from the crowd, his wrapper gleaming with gold thread, his neck heavy with coral beads that announced his wealth to anyone with eyes. He was a man who owned half the village's farmland, whose granaries never emptied, whose word could make or break families. He looked at Ifeoma the way one examines a goat at market, then turned to her father. Your debt is 300 bags of cowries. I will pay it. All of it. Today. The crowd gasped. Ifeoma's mother clutched her wrapper tighter, tears streaming down her face. Adana stood beside their mother, her perfect face twisted in relief that it wasn't her being sold. But know this, old man, Chike continued, his voice carrying across the square. I do this not for love. I have no use for love. Women are meant to cook my food, sweep my compound, and warm my bed. Nothing more. Your daughter will learn this quickly. Ifeoma felt her knees weaken, but she forced herself to stand tall. She caught her father's eye, searching for hesitation, for regret, for anything that said he still saw her as his daughter. But Okonkwo looked away. The debt is paid, her father announced, reaching for Chika's hand. My daughter is yours. That night, in Chike's vast compound with its 4 buildings surrounding a central courtyard, Ifeoma sat alone in her new room. She could hear the chief in the main house, laughing with his friends, celebrating his newest acquisition. Through the window, she watched the moon rise over unfamiliar walls. You look sad, new wife. An old woman appeared in the doorway, carrying a clay lamp. Her eyes held something ancient and knowing. But sadness is just the seed of strength. Water it with patience and watch what grows. Who are you? Ifeoma whispered. I am Mama Naoma. I have served this compound for 40 years, watching chiefs come and go, watching women arrive and leave. And I tell you this, a woman who builds her own fire never freezes, even when the hearth is taken from her. Before Ifeoma could respond, the old woman was gone, leaving only the smell of herbs and something that might have been magic. The months that followed were bitter. Chief Chike ignored her counsel at every turn. When she suggested storing extra yams for the dry season, he laughed. What does a woman know of planning? Your place is in the kitchen, not in my business. When she offered to help settle a dispute between tenant farmers, he dismissed her with a wave. Go polish my coral beads, that's woman's work. But at night, when he reached for her in the darkness, he expected her warmth, her body, her compliance. And each morning, Ifeoma died a little more inside. Until the day she stopped dying and started living. It began in the market. While Chike was away in a neighbouring village, Ifeoma watched the women trading cloth, dyes and pottery. One woman, her wrapper bright with indigo patterns, caught her eye. You have the hands of a creator, the woman said, examining Ifeoma's fingers. I can teach you to make cloth that sings, but it will cost you. I have nothing, Ifeoma replied. You have time, you have determination. Those are currencies greater than cowries. For 6 months, Ifeoma learned in secret. She woke before dawn to practice dyeing techniques, using plants she gathered from the forest. She traded her meals for lessons, growing thin but growing skilled. The cloth she created became legendary in distant markets, though no one knew the chief's wife had made it. One morning, Chike found her at her loom. What is this nonsense? he demanded. Who gave you permission to waste time on childish crafts? Ifeoma stood, her eyes meeting his for the first time, with something harder than submission. I gave myself permission. I am more than your possession, Chike. I am a woman with hands that create, a mind that thinks, and a spirit you never bothered to see. He raised his hand to strike her, but she didn't flinch. Hit me, she said quietly. Prove to everyone watching that you are exactly the small man you fear yourself to be. His hand froze. In the doorway, servants had gathered. In the compound, his mother watched from across the courtyard. Chike lowered his hand, his face twisted with rage and something else. Shame, perhaps. Get out, he whispered. Gladly. Ifeoma gathered her cloth, her tools, her small savings. Thank you for teaching me what I never want to become. She walked out of his compound with her head high, leaving behind a man who was just beginning to realize what he'd lost. In her father's village, Ifeoma built a small compound with her own hands. Her cloth became so sought after that traders came from 3 territories away. Within a year, she had apprentices. Within 2 years, she had wealth of her own. And with wealth came respect. She was in her workshop, teaching a young girl the secret of mixing indigo, when a messenger arrived. There is a man from the neighboring village asking for your hand, the messenger announced. His name is Dubem. He is a master craftsman, kind and gentle. He has been watching you at the market for months. If you're enjoying this story of Ifeoma's transformation, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me which African folktale I should bring to life next. Your support keeps these stories alive. Ifeoma met Dubem the following week. He was nothing like Chike. Where Chike commanded, Dubem asked. Where Chike took, Dubem offered. When Dubem looked at her, he saw not a possession but a person. You create beauty, Dubem said, examining her cloth. But more than that, you create possibility. I would be honored to walk beside you, not ahead of you, not behind you. Beside you. For the first time in years, Ifeoma felt something warm bloom in her chest. Hope, perhaps, or the beginning of love. But Chief Chike was watching from a distance, and in his chest a different fire burned. He came to her compound at midnight, drunk and desperate. Come back, he demanded, pounding on her door. You are my wife. You belong to me. I belong to myself, Ifeoma called from inside. Go home, Chike. That craftsman, that Dubem, he's not worthy of you. And you were. She opened the door, facing him without fear. You who treated me like a cooking pot. You who never asked my name preference, my thoughts, my dreams. Go home. But Chike didn't go home. Instead, he began a campaign of destruction. He spread rumors about Ifeoma in the markets. He bribed traders to refuse her cloth. He sent thugs to intimidate Dubem, threatening his family if he continued courting the chief's wife. Ifeoma watched her business suffer, watched Dubem's eyes fill with worry. And still, Chike came. Why? She finally screamed at him one evening as he stood outside her compound. Why now? You never wanted me when you had me. Because I was a fool, Chike's voice cracked. Because I didn't know that a home without your laughter is just walls. Because food tastes like ash when you're not there to share it. Because I wake up reaching for someone who taught me what it means to be human. And she's gone, and it's my fault. He fell to his knees. I am haunted, Ifeoma. Every night I dream of your face the day I bought you like property. Every night I hear the elders warning, a man who does not respect half the world will one day need what he has scorned. They were right. I need you, and I have no right to ask, but I'm begging. Come back. Words, Ifeoma said coldly. Men like you are skilled at words when you want something, but words don't plant yams. Words don't heal wounds. Actions do. That night, Chike had a vision. His ancestors appeared to him in dreams, their faces stern with disappointment. You have shamed us, they said. You have treated the mother of your future children like a slave. You have ignored the gifts of the gods because they came wrapped in a woman's skin. If you want redemption, you must walk the path of humility, and it is a long, painful path that not all men survive. Chike woke sweating, the words burning in his mind. The next morning, he went to the village elders. "Teach me," he said. "Teach me what I should have learned as a boy. Teach me to see women as people. Teach me to be worthy of Ifeoma." The eldest, Mazi Okafor, studied him for a long moment. "You will carry water from the river for 30 days. You will grind cassava with the women. You will serve at the feast like the youngest girl child. You will walk to Ifeoma's village barefoot, without servants, and beg her forgiveness. And if she grants you a chance, you will prove yourself through sustained action, not pretty promises. Are you willing?" Chike thought of his pride, his reputation, his status. Then he thought of Ifeoma's empty chair across from his at meals. He thought of her gentle corrections he'd ignored. He thought of her laugh he'd never bothered to earn. "I am willing." For 30 days, the mighty Chief Chike humbled himself. He carried water until his shoulders ached. He ground cassava until his hands bled. He served food to children who giggled at seeing a chief in servant's clothes. And slowly, something inside him began to crack open. On the 31st day, he walked barefoot to Ifeoma's village. His feet bled. His pride was dust. But his eyes were clear for the first time in his life. Ifeoma sat outside her compound, weaving. She didn't look up when his shadow fell across her loom. "I have walked the path of humility," Chike said quietly. "I have carried water and ground grain and served others. I have learned what I refused to see, that women are not lesser beings, but different vessels carrying the same divine spark. I have learned that respect is not given because of what dangles between one's legs, but earned through how one treats the souls around them. I have learned that I lost not a wife but a partner, not a possession but a person who could have made me better." Ifeoma's hand stilled on the loom. "The chameleon changes colour, but does it change its nature? Test me, please. I will live in your village for a full season, not as a chief. Just as a man named Chike who is trying to learn what it means to be human." Ifeoma finally looked up. In his eyes, she saw something different. Not the arrogance of before, but genuine pain, genuine change. Or was it? "One season," she said, "but know this, I will not make it easy. And if I see even a shadow of the man who bought me like property, you leave and never return." That season became a transformation. Chike worked alongside the villagers, listening to women's stories, understanding their struggles. He helped Dubem in his workshop, earning the craftsman's cautious respect. He spoke at village gatherings about the laws he would change in his territory, laws that would give women rights to inherit property, to testify in disputes, to be treated as fully human. And slowly, Ifeoma watched. She saw him challenge men who spoke dismissively of their wives. She saw him defend a widow's right to keep her late husband's land. She saw him sit with children, teaching them that strength comes in many forms. One evening, as the sun set over the compound, Dubem came to Ifeoma. "He has changed," Dubem said simply. "I came here to compete for your hand, but I see now that your heart made its choice long ago. You loved him even when he didn't deserve it. And now, perhaps, he's becoming a man who does." Dubem placed her hand in his, then in Chike's. "Honor her, or I will come back for her." Chike's eyes filled with tears. "I will honor her every day until my last breath." 3 months later, Ifeoma and Chike returned to his compound. But it was different now. She walked beside him, not behind. She spoke at council meetings, her voice carrying equal weight. She kept her cloth business, expanding it until women from 5 territories came to learn from her. And at night, when Chike reached for her, it was not with entitlement, but with gratitude, with love. Years later, the elders would tell the story of Chief Chike and Ifeoma the wise. They would say, "The woman who builds her own compound teaches the man what a home truly is." They would say, "A single hand cannot tie a bundle." But Ifeoma's favorite proverb became this: "They called me the ugly daughter. They mocked me, sold me, dismissed me. But an ugly seed can grow into the most beautiful tree, and its shade will shelter even those who planted it in poor soil." In the end, respect proved to be the foundation of love. Without it, even a palace is empty. With it, even a small compound becomes a kingdom. And they say that on quiet nights, you can still hear Mama Naoma's laughter echoing through the compound, the laughter of an old woman who always knew that sadness was just the seed of strength, and Ifeoma had watered it well. The end.